Can I just make 2 points about campaign groups? I spot a danger that each campaign group is feeling it needs to do something. It's doing its own thing, doing it separately, and some of them planning to do stuff more in October, November, December than now. Well, to be honest, that's not clever. And if I was on the receiving end, and I know this from the Secretary of State because he said so, the more useful thing is for the campaign groups to get their act together, decide what the priorities are. Don't worry about differentiating yourself from the other campaign groups, and more concentrate on agreeing what the priorities are and lobby for those and lobby soon and put pressure on the politicians sooner rather than later, which means MPs and ministers by October at the latest, not in November and December. In terms of Donald, yes, we all know the arguments about the cost efficiency. Just one absolutely obvious thing: if we can solve the problem of how to produce the money up front to give people the ability to do the capital investment in their homes, it gives them the feedback easily over 10 years. The payback over 10 years. Their bills will be few. And it's just about finding the funds to put up front so you can get the work done. There needs to be a rolling programme, obviously. Seriously, well, it's an isolated point to the Sustrans advisor, two things. Absolutely take the opportunity of now that we have a Secretary of State who is passionate about rail in the Transport Department, and take the point that suddenly lots of people have become passionate about cycling, and try to get to the idea that children should be cycling to school if they're not walking to school, and it's not unsafe to do so by and large, and that people should be using rail when there's any viable option, not just in Britain, but across Europe. And unless we get Europe linked up for rail, we're not solving the problem.
Benny,
yep. I think I want to make 2 points. One, in regard to energy efficiency. In our society, in this country, only about 25% of energy use is actually managed. Some of you are energy managers at home using the title parent, but switch off the light. But in general, big office buildings, until recently, most of them have not had an energy manager. And the leasing structure that we have, and the leases that often don't have the incentives tied up in the right place for energy costs. So there's a lot that we can do to get energy management in place, and there's quite a lot of technology that's coming along, low cost, that makes it a lot easier to do this, to see which office is much higher energy use than others. We did, in one of the companies that I'm associated with, AEA Technology, we did a project for Burger King here in the UK. They looked at the energy use of every Burger King, and you may not know that Burger Kings use energy because none of the people here ever eat at Burger King, but suddenly you find 3 stores that are much higher energy use, and the energy use spikes up and then goes down. They put the thermostat for the air conditioning over the toaster. So every time they toasted the buns, the air conditioning came on. It's things like this, really simple things. So there's kind of a combination of technology and energy management, and that's becoming simpler and more important. And now I want to say something about transport.
Okay.
We are, I think, I completely support the point about rail and our rail infrastructure, but we are on the cusp of I think, a revolutionary change in cars. And that is about the final, after many decades, emergence of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, and that they will take a significant role in road transport. And I can assure you that people in BP and Shell and so on nowadays are stunned at how much faster this is moving than they thought it was, that we have that they thought it ever would be, that they talk about demand destruction for their product, which is an interesting concept. And we see, companies like Renault-Nissan having said that they would make 20,000 electric vehicles, now upping it to 100,000 a year. Mitsubishi having launched their electric vehicle, the pressures on Detroit. Something is happening which is bringing together a whole bunch of things, and I think, again, we need to construct the charging infrastructure and the grid, the smart grid that makes this all possible.
Debbie.
I just wanted to say, because we do quite a lot of outreach and talking with local communities and individuals, and one of the key things I think is would be really good to make sure you get all the latest information on the science. Not surprising, I'd say that, but quite often and people have mentioned it here to me that they find it very frustrating with skeptics. Shouting them down or not believing in. And we deal with a lot of skeptic questions all the time, and many are very well founded. But there's some areas of the science that they may be missing or not appreciating as much. So we have some kind of standard answers for key skeptic questions or arguments. And some are firmer on the science than others. So if you want more information on the latest science, and particularly to address key skeptic questions, then you can find out. Either contact someone in the Met Office or look on the websites. There's a lot out there. So I'd say get as well informed as possible. Then you've got a good persuasive argument.
Great. We haven't got